Welcome everyone to the Unlocking Greatness podcast. Today I'm going to be speaking specifically to entrepreneurs, to business owners. So if you all have a business or whether you already are established in your business and you're looking to grow it, perhaps you want to start growing it naturally and have some global reach, or maybe you just have a dream or a goal or something and you've been trying to get that business off the ground for quite a while. Maybe you've had some good years and maybe some not so good years. I really want to have a talk with you all today about business. So this particular episode is going to be in two parts, and it's going to be called Let's Talk Business. So the first part of this episode is, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? Now, I'm actually looking down into some of these devices right now because as I'm recording, I'm also allowing some of my audience to stream in on this platform for a little bit. So you might see me looking down because I'm streaming on some of my social media channels. But I want you to be asking yourself, what do you believe about yourself? And let me explain to you all why this is important. When I did an episode, I believe it was yesterday or it was the day before yesterday. Remember, I talked a little bit about the importance of you can't be driving a car down the highway going 100 miles an hour trying to get to a certain destination. Remember I talked about that without taking the time to really check under the hood, right? And make sure you have air pressure in your tires and make sure you have oil, in your car and all of that. Because you'll find yourself being so focused on trying to get to that destination that you may be missing something really important. And you'll wonder why is there times that I'm running out of steam, that I'm running out of air, or why is all of a sudden the windshield wipers not working? So remember, we had a talk about that yesterday. I want to kind of go a little bit deeper into that conversation in this Let's Talk Business episode. I want to be very humble with you all, share some personal examples just from myself with running a business and some of the ups and downs. And I really pray that it encourages you all. For those who are joining me on my live, I'm actually recording a podcast episode right now. You guys are just able to join me and go along with this. So this is going to be a two-part series. The very first part is called, What Do You Believe About Yourself? And the reason that's important to start with this is because what you believe about yourself, and this is from my own personal example that I can testify to, what you really believe about yourself, baby, that's what's going to show up in every single aspect of your business. Every single aspect of your business, from your pricing to the way that you market your products or your services, even to the vision that you have for your company. What you truly believe about yourself is what's really going to show up. And it does not matter how much you try to sort of, pump yourself up and maybe try to, put out a post or do something to make it seem like it's one way and not the other. People can literally pick up even on the very energy of when you're putting your products or your services out there. So that's why it's important, especially for those of you who've joined the Unlocking Greatness community, and I know some of you are on this live right now. That's why I always stress, for those of you who are seeking entrepreneurship or who are seeking to even grow your company on a national basis, you really, really, really have to put a tremendous focus on personal development as well. Now, let me give some of my own examples to explain to you all why this is important, because my main goal is I really want you all to learn from my mistakes, you all. I've made a lot of mistakes through the years, a lot of mistakes. I've been a business owner for a very long time, had multiple different companies, and I've messed up a lot. I've made mistakes going up and down with things. So I want to talk to you all just a little bit about why it's important when you're considering growing your company or running with that dream or that goal. Why is it so important that one of the primary focuses you have to have is, what do you really believe about yourself? And the reason that's important, as I said before, it's going to show up in every single area of your company. If you all are in agreement with me, you all can say, I agree. I see some comments coming through on some of my social media channels. It's going to show up in every single area. Let me give an example. And I'm going to be very humble and personal with you guys. One of the mistakes that I've made, and I've noticed this with me, I had to really spend some time really thinking this through, is because I love everybody. I really do. And God knows I just want to take everybody with me. So if there's ever a product or service or whatever I offer, especially like with the Necessary Retreat, you all know that I have a retreat based around my book Necessary. And it's an entire amazing program. We've had a lot of people from all around the world join. And the feedback pretty much has been almost 100% positive, to be quite honest with you, from all of the people that's joined. We really don't show up and show the bad or show as much as, what didn't work. You tend to see the end of the movie. It's almost like the credits rolling, but you miss the whole movie. You miss all the ups and downs. You miss the times when you're somewhere in a corner sitting on the floor crying, doubting, yourself at times, or all of the things that may be going on in your personal life with your kids or your marriage or whatever it is going on, right? Or maybe you didn't hit your financial goals, right? And you're up and down with your mood swings, or maybe you even wondered, did God even tell me to do this in the first place? That's the true reality of being a business owner, baby. That's the true reality of being a business owner. You have these major ups and you have these major downs, and there's some times where you literally can doubt yourself at times. So, in one of the examples that I'm giving you all is even with my program, and again, this is in honor of being transparent. There are so many times when I was fluctuating with things, and it really didn't have so much to do with whether or not the people could afford it or they would want to get the service or not, because the service is really, really good. The full retreat and the amount of help that people have gotten and the amount of feedback we get on a daily basis is unbelievable. But you want to know what the problem was? Problem was me. Problem was me. What I really believed about myself. Did I really believe that God has anointed and graced me to be able to help people in their lives? Did I really, really believe that despite all the things that was going on in my life, my marriage, right, my situations, that I then could get out there with God's help, by the way, and be able to help other people come out of dark places, or help other people elevate their businesses, right? Or help other people discover who they are, what their purposes are in life. And so there are times when I went through those seasons of even doubting myself, or even being insecure, or even at times, if someone, for example, would I remember when I very, very first started my program out, and someone sent a message to me and said, your price is too high. And it really wasn't even that high, to be honest with you. But your price is too high, and it needs to be low for everybody to be able to get in it. And I wouldn't be able to, she was saying something like that. And I just remember how crushed I felt in my spirit, because my heart is, I love God. I want to help everybody. So because I didn't have a solid belief in not only that this is what God wanted me to do, and I needed to show up and be financially responsible with the services that I was offering so I can serve people with excellency, guess what I ended up doing? Guess what I did in the very beginning? I made a hard pivot, and I ended up radically changing the prices, just so you know, because I didn't want anybody being offended. I know some of you all can pick up what I'm laying down. I see a lot of comments coming through, right? And I know you all are not used to this kind of transparency, because most people won't tell you all of this, but I'm giving you real live examples. So then there were times, because that's what I believed about myself, is maybe I'm not worthy enough, right? Maybe my program is not all that good, even though all of the members in the community is like, Z, I'm not even through the first module, and you've completely changed my life. Completely changed the way I see myself, completely changed the way that I've learned how to let go of things that are no longer needed in my life. So you're saying all of these beautiful results come in from people, but I still was feeling some kind of way. You get my point? That's why it's very important to focus on, what do you really believe about yourself? Now, again, for those who are just joining me, I'm doing a live podcast episode right now. And this is going to be a two-part post. I'm specifically talking to people who are business owners, people who are entrepreneurs, because I want to make sure that you all understand that it takes personal development and entrepreneur development. And when you try to get yourself out there, listen to me, y'all. When you try to get yourself out there and have one without the other, or try to focus so heavily on just this one end, and you leave out that important part about the spiritual growth, right? The personal development, because you think, well, I'm educated, I already know this, right? I have a master's degree, just to be clear, right? And I don't say that to brag, but, I think I'm pretty smart in some areas, right? But these are things that creep up on you, because there may be things that you've not dealt with. There may be false beliefs that you're holding on to. And trust me when I say, it will show up in every single aspect of how you run and operate your business, how you launch your business, all the way down from the offers that you put together to your pricing, all the way down through the whole flow. It'll show up. And so the times, thank God for this, when I've really spent some time in prayer and I'm getting that keen insight from God, and God has shown me who I am, right? Which is what my retreat is all about, by the way. You all are more than welcome to join. But when God has shown me who I am and how to show up, then I'm able to show up differently. And then everything, believe it or not, everything about my business began to change. Before I go into part two, I want to say one thing. I'll never forget when I very first started doing webinars. Oh, and by the way, I'm having a few webinars now. So for those of you who want to join one of my live webinars to learn more about the Unlocking Greatness community and learn more about the Necessary Retreat, you can just go to my website at unlockinggreatness.com, and somewhere on there you'll be able to find a link to meet with me. But for the purpose of this recording, I'm actually having a live webinar today at noon. So if you guys want to join me, let me know. But the point I was getting at is that I remember when I was doing the first couple webinars, and I remember when I showed up with that little bit of insecurity. Now, for those who know me, you may have a hard time hearing me say that word because most people don't look at me that know me and think, okay, Z's, struggles a little bit with insecurity, because I've always been a go-getter. Always been a go-getter. Always been the one defending and helping other people. But the insecurity came from, God, is this really what you want me to do? Am I working outside of your timing? Am I using your gifts the right way? God, I don't want to disappoint you. God, I don't want to hurt anybody. You get my point? That's where that insecurity began to creep in. So I remember when I did my first set of webinars, and I just remember how bad it went, because I showed up as this person just sort of hoping that, okay, I guess some people would want to join. And I remember when God began to work on me. And I distinctly remember the very next webinar I did when I had, I don't even know how many people on the call, but it was a lot of people, showed up as a completely different person. Why? Because my beliefs changed. And that webinar was absolutely phenomenal. In fact, almost every single person from that webinar ended up joining. From the first webinar, no one joined. And from the second one, almost everyone joined. Well, what changed? What changed? What changed was me, my belief system. It changed how I showed up. You get my point? It changed in how I presented what God had placed in my heart to present. Nothing changed about the structure of the webinar other than the person and how this person, meaning me, I'm speaking in third person, how she showed up. So that's why it's so important. Very, very, very important for those of you who are entrepreneurs, who are business owners, who are trying to get a goal or a dream or something off the ground. Please start with step one. If you decide to join the Unlocking Greatness community, because we have an amazing business community with people from all around the world, they'll tell you the first thing Z focuses on, even though we talk a lot about your value added ladder and your ascension plans and your growth plan and all of that, we go heavily into all of that. But they'll tell you, anyone that's a member of that community will tell you, one of the first things Z's going to focus on is the first couple of weeks you're going to be focusing on who in the world are you? What is your why? Why are you here doing this? And what things are you going to need to let go so you can begin to climb? That's why I start there. And that's why, and I made some new changes, by the way, I don't even allow entrepreneurs to come into the entrepreneur side of the community if they don't want to get the personal development as well, because I'm not able to help you. Because the moment the business starts going well, or you really start doing global expansion and making some money and doing well, the moment something don't go well in your life, and those insecurities or those fears or whatever it is tapped into, right? And remember Romans 8:15 teaches us we didn't receive a spirit that makes us a slave again to fear, but we received a spirit of sonship. But if you don't know that, guess what you're going to start to do? Once the ground begins to shake a little bit, you fumble, you fall, you stop, you start procrastinating. You get my point? That's why, baby, you got to start with, what is it that I really believe about myself? So I'm finishing up part one. This is part one from a two-part series. This series is going to show up under my Let's Talk Business section under the Unlocking Greatness podcast with Zenja Glass. So part one is, what do you believe about yourself? Now, part two is called, what is on the other side of that belief? I want to talk about that in just a minute. I'm going to close out of this one and say hi to some of the people following right now, and I'll come right back.